Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Let's Talk About Market episode number 84. So today, as you all know, was the weekly closing, and the good news is that many of the indices have managed to give a positive weekly close. Now, this means that probably in the near term, the recent lows, whatever we have made in those indices like say mid cap, small cap, Nifty, those all become important support levels in the near term. And as long as that holds, the Nifty index can consolidate or go sideways. So that is the thing. I think the fresh selling pressure might only arise once the low is broken. I think if that is held, then we can consolidate sideways. And on the upside, we have been speaking about the level of somewhere around 26,030, which is nothing but the 61.8% retracement level of the entire decline. So if that is taken out on the upside, then things can get interesting. So let's talk about it. Uh, Let me share my screen and please let me know once you all are able to see my screen properly. Uh, okay. Please let me know if you all are able to see my screen properly. And of course, yeah, if you all are able to hear me. Okay. Thanks, Akash. So, see, there are some positives and some negatives, but we will try to be more objective and come up with the levels. What is it that we need to watch out for? But the bad news is that the Nifty index had broken this trend line, and after that, it seems to be consolidating and it has gone sideways. This is not a good thing. And moreover, it has been sustaining below the averages for almost 4 or 5 days now. Okay. Typically, even if the break below the averages, I'm sorry. So typically, when there is a break below the averages, and if that breakdown was a false breakdown, quickly the Nifty index or any of the stock for that matter will come back above that to indicate that that was a false breakdown and that was a trap, and the strength still lies with the bulls. But that is not happening over here, and which is not a good sign. In fact, even on the hourly chart, if you see, somewhere when we are reaching towards that upper band or 40, the selling pressure is coming back. Now I'm not sure if there is some kind of triangular pattern that the Nifty index is forming. I'm not sure about that, but the levels now ideally that we need to watch out for. So this is especially for the upside. Now, see, there is one reason why I am a little skeptical at this point of time. Despite, we'll talk about the data points and everything. Okay. While everything looks like that, people are extremely bearish and so on, but there are few things that are kind of bothering me. The first one is that the Nifty index had closed negative for the last month. Okay. We give a lot of weightage to the positive and the negative. Sorry. So we tend to give a lot of importance to the positive and the negative close. Given that the last month was negative close, this makes the previous high as an important monthly high and an important swing point as well. So as long as the Nifty index is below this, high, the risk is there that that it can probably fall to even the 20-month average. So the 20-month average is currently at 24,664. This is just a possibility that I'm talking about, not that it will happen for sure. But this week, the interesting part is that the 20 week was held, and the Nifty index has given a positive close, weekly close. Like I told you that we give a lot of importance to the positive and the negative close. So positive close over here indicates that indicates that the low of 25,473 will be a very, very important support level. And I think if that does not break, the Nifty index can consolidate, or it may even attempt to rise higher. Any attempt of recovery will find selling pressure around the 61.8% retracement level, which is say, somewhere around this 26,030 mark. Okay. So this is something that we need to keep in mind, and you can see even today, right? The Nifty index at one point of time was nearly up around 180 200 points, but from there, it sold off and it witnessed selling pressure at higher levels. So this is likely to happen because the Nifty index is trading below the important support levels. Okay. So in the short term, what it tells you is that the trend is down, but given that this low is not broken on the upside, there is a possibility of some pullback to happen, or a bit of consolidation that can happen. That is very much possible, and that cannot be ruled out. Okay. So the now see, this is one thing that is very, very important to understand, because this is how it will help you to position yourself as well. Okay. uh, that in sentiment indicators we have different indicators for different time frame, correct? So we have something for short term, we have something for medium term, and we have something for long term, right? Now please understand what is happening right now. The medium term indicators are pointing out that the sentiment is extremely negative. Okay. That is what the medium term sentiment indicators are pointing out to. Okay. But in the short term, not many sentiment indicators have turned bearish, or they have come to an extreme mark, which tells you that in the short term there can be some room for downside. That is very much possible, and you should not rule it out, right? That is what is short term telling you. So for short term now, as I told you, the important levels are 26,030, which is basically the 61.8% retracement level of the entire decline. And on the downside, the low of 25,473 becomes an important support level on the downside. I think once this range breaks on either side, maybe that's where you can end up getting some trending move, or else the Nifty is likely to hover between this. And my guess is that if the 26,030 mark is not broken on the upside, then there is a risk of probably Nifty even falling to somewhere around 25. I'm so sorry. So there is a risk of the Nifty index falling to almost around 26,200 or so. Sorry, 25,200 or so. Now, this is also very much possible and cannot be ruled out, because first thing is that the weekly RMI is in sell, and as of now the 20 week is held, but that is broken. Then there is a possibility of a decline up to the 40 week exponential, and if 40 week comes, then you might end up testing that 25 200 300 sort of levels. So that is the risk that is there in the near term, which means that there can be some consolidation in the near term within this range. But if this range break on the downside, then there is a risk of a correction probably towards these levels, which can end up Nifty index testing important downside levels in the near term. Okay. So that is how I'm thinking about it. Now this is for the short term, as I'm telling you. Okay. From a medium term perspective, I am extremely bullish. So this is where mentally you need to bifurcate what is happening, right? Because you would have seen over here as well, right? It was extremely oversold. From there we got a bounce. It was a very big bounce. Then it again sold off due to the Trump tariff and so on. But at that point of time, the position was much higher. correct? The long positioning. I mean, the shorts had been covered significantly, and again after this low, we saw that very strong move on the upside. Now, this is entirely possible to see over here. The only issue is that, see, this is something that you need to keep in mind. In the short term, prices will dictate the trend. Okay, in the medium term, the positioning will eventually resolve on either side. I mean, if there is excess bullishness, then things have to correct in the medium term, and that will correct for some or the other reason. I mean, what will trigger it, I don't know, but it will happen. Similarly, at this point of time, the medium term bearishness is is probably extreme when I look at the participant positioning. Okay, so at some point of time, maybe in next 3 months, 6 months, this has to resolve on the upside. The only question I have been also trying to communicate is that do we bottom out from here, or do we fall all the way till 24,500 and only then bottom out? I am not too sure about that. There are many people in the camp that maybe also thinks that this can happen. While this is a probability and cannot be completely ruled out, but I am giving that possibility a very, very low weightage, mainly because the sentiments have already turned bearish. Now, if you record, I mean, if you how do I say, if you adjust the entire previous data, okay, because there has been a lot size change recently from 65 from 75 to 65. So if you adjust that entirely, then this is the record short that we have seen over here. Okay, in Feb 2024, this was again a record short that we had seen, and after that we had seen meaningful rally. So I mean, risk of a meaningful rally in the coming weeks and months, that is entirely possible, but it is all in the short term that we are trying to fine tune whether the bottom is made over here, or will it correct till here, or will it correct all the way till here. I mean, this is what I have. I mean, I'm trying to get the answers of, but I'm not getting. That is because we are getting all the mixed signals. Like on the weekly chart there is an RMI sell, and then there is a risk of a correction towards the 40 week, and even the monthly there is a positive negative monthly close, which makes the swing high an important high from a monthly perspective, right? And then on the daily chart we have a breakdown over here, and which also points out towards some weakness in the short term. So that is how we are. And on top of this, the sectors are not helping either, which means if you see IT, it has turned around from the 40-day exponential average. We had spoken about this, that it is at the 40-day exponential average. Now whether it breaks down or no needs to be seen, but over here it has held. So now, is there a chance that it breaks the range on the upside? I mean, that opens up. If you see the Bank Nifty index, it has also moved higher, and so far, it has been supporting that. But at the same time, if you see auto, which was strong, this is now turning a bit weak, right? MNC, anyways, we don't discuss much, but real estate, I mean, this is on the verge of breaking down. Pharma, there was a case of a breakout, which was possible, but it has fallen down dramatically after that. Power is not supporting, FMCG is not supporting either. So, there are a lot of pain points which are still there. In fact, even infra, where it had broken out of this range, it tried to break above it, but again it is coming down. So not really a good sign. So that way, if you see, I'm not very happy, because we are getting those mixed signals over here. And that's where then my focus will turn on to find, in the short term, are the sentiment indicators getting oversold. So if you see the percentage of stock about 20 SMA, ideally when this comes towards this zone, I think that's where you will be more. I mean, I would probably be more confident in calling a bottom, at least from a 10 days, 15 days, 20 days kind of perspective. But as of now, that is not the case. the percentage of stock with RMI buy and all those things. I mean, these are very fast indicators in that sense. So if at all there is more fall that has to happen, then you might end up seeing indicators behaving like this, and being showing oversold overbought readings for quite some time. I mean, divergence for quite some time. Like you see over here. So at the first decline, it quickly went to the oversold, but it kept the Nifty index kept going lower, and you saw positive divergence. So that's where I have mentioned that put 40-day exponential average as the level. If the prices are above that, most likely the trend is up, and when the trend is up, the oversold readings will work nicely. Okay, now what is happening is that this average is broken on the downside, so there is a chance that the oversold reading may not work, and you might end up getting divergence like we saw over here. Okay, because see, over here as well, when we were in an uptrend, I mean, this oversold readings were getting bought into even till here as well, right? But after that, once this was broken on the downside and it was sustaining below this averages, which appears to be also see happening over here right now. So then there is a risk that there can be further more correction. Now I am again saying, will this go till here? I am not of that camp, to be frank. Can it go till here? There is a distinct possibility that can happen. By here, I mean 24, 500, 600. Can it go to that point? It is possible. Okay. Uh, so that's how I am also thinking about this right now. And I am also trying to wrap around my head with what other index and all are doing. And to be fair, it is not giving any encouraging sign as such that a turnaround has happened, and from here we'll get a roaring rally. So as of now, that is not the case. Let's see. I mean, in this earning season, if something turns around and suddenly some sector or some important stocks which are there for the Nifty to rise higher, if if they end up stabilizing, then we can probably have some good time in the short term, as well as then eventually from medium term perspective, as it is, I am frankly bullish. So even that will open up. But at this point of time, given that the market are sideways and not doing much, maybe if you're a medium term investor, okay, this is a much better time to study stocks, because a lot of them have been thrashed in this correction. So it kind of gives you a time to see what is happening over there, and try to put them in your watch list. And I think that's where the opportunity lies, because in the short term, trying to catch those short term tops and bottoms are not only difficult, but we are getting so big moves in a day. Like for today, I mean, it had gone down. I mean, the Nifty index was up, it went all the way up to 180, then almost got flat, and then again it rose higher, and so on. So dealing with this kind of volatility in the short term can kind of mentally drain you. So it's better to so frankly, my time horizon is slightly more positionally, because of course I have to do work over here. And that's where my entire concentration is. So I try to view things more medium termish, and that's where this is probably a good time to study what is happening in different pockets. So that's how I'm thinking about it. Lastly, just watch out for the option range, because that might tell you a story of what is happening in the index. As you see over here, 26,000 is consistently having high open interest, and now somewhere around this 27,500 point we have. And there is some meaningful open interest at 25,500 as well. So yeah, I mean, in the near term, even the derivatives data seems to be suggesting a range of 25,500 to 26,000. I think let's wait for this range to break on either side, on the upside or downside. That's where some clarity will emerge. So when technicals and derivatives both are in sync, it kind of makes our life little easy and help us understand what is the broader range. So when we are in the range bound market, it is important to remember that don't chase the gap ups, and similarly, when there is a gap down, don't try to be excessively bearish and try to short it unless the range is not broken. I think that is what that is the phase that we are in right now. So I think with that, I'll leave it up to y'all for the questions. If you'll have any questions, please let me know. Deepak says that hi Jay, RRG financial seems to be weakening, and again today IT was strong. Can we talk about the rotation and any ways we can identify sectors turnaround? So but the only thing in RRG that you now have to remember and understand is that Deepak, that this is all relative performance. Okay, so if the markets will go down, then even the ones which are outperforming can be a laggard. So keep this in mind. Okay, please keep this in mind because this is very important piece of information for y'all. Because people think कि जो leading में है तो उसको बस ले लेने का. It is not that. I mean, it can outperform in the fall and still it can be in leading. This is something that you need to keep in mind. But see, as we are seeing right now, financials में there is a pickup in momentum as well as relative strength. Bank, private bank, in all these index, there has been pickups this week. Metals also there has been a pickup. IT as well there has been pickup in momentum and this. See, auto is not a good sign. I mean, it was showing some promise of a turnaround because it turned around from here. It was showing the promise, but now this week there has been weakness in relative strength as well as momentum. Oil and gas, infra, no signs of turnaround and they're going down. Reality, FMCG, again no signs of turnaround. PSE, okay. But yeah, I mean the broader key takeaway is that these four index so far seems to be doing good, which is private bank, and financial also, or to certain extent it has bounced back. So it does leave scope for it to enter into leading. But what you can also see is that it is very close to around 100 levels, which means that it is kind of mimicking what the Nifty index is doing. You might want to find alpha. So alpha lies, somewhere over here in the short term, which is private bank, IT, metals. These are the ones that are showing, strong momentum. Uh, in fact, even PSU Bank to certain extent has seen a turnaround in momentum as well. In momentum, but you need to understand that the previous week was this for PSU Bank. Okay, and over here, this is the point. So within this week only there has been this turnaround over here, PSU Bank. So this is again, giving us an early sign that now those consolidation, correction, or that underperformance phase which was there, that might be getting over. So, but in terms of weakness, I think auto is the bad one. I also showed you that averages are being broken over here. Again, not a good sign. While auto seems to be the flavor of this result season, I guess, because of the GST cut and so on. But maybe it seems like market is factoring in that and trying to look forward what next. So that's where auto not clearly not seems to be doing well. Infra also not good. Oil and gas also not good. So I think these are the sector rotation, I may say, that is happening through RRG. So Om Prakash says more 2% downside coming. I think more than 2%. See, now what is happening is that on not on the index level but on the stock level, things are getting screwed. Okay, so what it means is that if there is still a weakness in the market, the bad stocks can get worse. This is something that is very important to understand. And your other question is about what about consumer sector. So as you can see that consumer durable also so far is not picking up, making it vulnerable for furthermore underperformance. Because you can see over here, consumer durable, it was trying to pick up momentum, but this week it has given up. And again, there has been decline not only in momentum, but there is a decline in relative strength as well. Healthcare, so Shailesh, healthcare also kind of follows the same as pharma. So if you see over here as well, it was in a range trying to break above that, but again collapsing or again giving up, which leaves the scope of a correction probably till the lower end of the range. And from there, we see, how things are turning around. So that's how I'm viewing healthcare as well in the near term. The Will it sustain? I don't know. Om Prakash, we need to see. But at this point of time, as we know that markets is not doing well, so then there is a risk of a correction. And IT, will it sustain? I I'm not sure. I mean, you need to watch this level closely. There are two levels that I have already marked on my screen and I have been discussing is that one is the previous high and the other one is 61.8% retracement. I think once, as long as the Nifty IT index is below this zone, there can be a risk of a correction at any point of time. I think once this entire bigger resistance zone is broken on the upside, then you can end up anticipating a fresh leg of up move. Mainly because there are a lot of shorts that are still there, and many of them have still not covered it. So that is where I'll be watching this index very closely, and I'll be watching this zone very very specifically, which is 39,500 to 40,300. Just let me write and keep it. Uh, this is what 39,500, 4,300. So this is the broader range that I'll be looking in IT. So as long as this range is not broken on the upside, there is a possibility that this sort of consolidation keeps happening uh, until we have a breakout eventually on the upside. But yeah, that is how I'm thinking on IT at this point of time. Any further questions, please let me know. We have almost done a 30-minute session so far. If you'll have any questions, then I'm happy to answer it. Else, we can call it the day and you all can enjoy the weekend. Any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions right now. So we'll wind up the session. But as I told you, in this weekend, do I have been telling you for quite some time now, but do try to analyze, understand what is happening from a medium term perspective in many of the sectors, because there has been slowdown since a year or so, since a year or two. So a lot of stocks have gone through meaningful correction, consolidation as well, right? So it's time to hunt those stocks. In fact, please bring it if you'll see anything interesting. I would be happy to discuss over it, especially if those valuations are low or at a historical low. Please do bring it to my notice. We will talk about it, discuss about it, and I'll try to also find what are the triggers that can lead to the move in those sectors or stocks. But please, again, don't ask me for the ये क्या लगता है वो क्या लगता है, but if you'll have any interesting observations where the valuations have gone to say minus 1 HD 2 HD of the long term average, which is of the max chart, then please bring it to my notice, because there are many stocks which might be doing that. Even I am trying to dig hard, where are those stocks. So if you'll end up finding anything, please do let me know. We can discuss about it, and we can discuss about what's the what is the opportunity basically in those stocks. If at all I'm not aware, I'll try to study about it and we can talk about it. Okay, so that's it from my side. Thanks for joining today. Happy weekend, and we will probably meet on Monday at 5 p.m. Thank you.